I wanted to like this movie. I really did. But anyway, my history with Jack Nicholson in movies. Everybody remembers him from The Lakers, but I remember him from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, uh, The Shining, mostly because of that scene where Danny runs in the maze, and also Joker and Batman, The Witches of Eastwick, where he plays a devil. What other ones? There's lots of other ones, right? Um, I think Chinatown. Never did watch Chinatown. I got to watch that. What am I doing with my life that I'm not watching these movies? So this one, The Pledge. Now, actually, I did watch The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. That's a very good movie. I have it on HD DVD though. I have to get the regular DVD. My Xbox 360 broke down, and I couldn't see The Pledge more, not or The Departed more than once. So The Pledge. I remember the trailers for this movie, and I can recall like him saying, "I made a promise, and I intend to keep it." So I thought it was going to be a straightforward cop thriller movie where he finds the killer of a child. Now he plays Jerry Black, a retired cop. You try to imagine Jack Nicholson ever playing this good guy cop, and it's kind of hard to do that since he's played villains so well, right? These crazy fuckers that he's always good at playing. Because he can play the tough guy and the crazy guy. That's why the Joker works so well. But anyway, and I remember him in, what is it, Adam Sandler, when he played the therapist. I can't remember the movie. Anyway, uh, this movie, I'm going to tell you right now, spoilers are going to get mixed in here. Now, this movie is free with ads on YouTube. There are many, many movies that are free to watch on YouTube. Just watch the ads and you have to deal with it. Uh, there's so many. I think Annihilation, which I did do audio commentary for, is now free to watch on YouTube. Isn't that amazing? A Natalie Portman movie. Great movie. Please watch that if you can. I loved it. I did all the commentary for that. Um, so it's supposed to be that the movie starts with him retiring from the force, and there's a dead girl in the snow, beautiful girl that was like maybe 9 or 10 years old, 8 to 9 or 10 years old. She died horribly. It was a sexual assault and then murder. And so they go looking for, I mean, at this point, Aaron Eckhart, who we remember well in Thank You for Not Smoking and The Dark Knight and other movies, Aaron Eckhart plays the new cop. So, Jack Nicholson, he's got his retirement party, but then comes the case of a new murder. So he's got to go and follow it out. They go out into the snow, they find the dead girl, they got to find their likely suspects. So at some point, we see Benicio del Toro with ugly black hair. Looks like the Indian from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, okay? But he's just like some weird, creepy guy, okay? So Aaron Eckhart, up until this point, Aaron Eckhart and Jack Nicholson, they're on the same moral side. Uh, and sorry about that. We do these things. Um, so they're on the same side, trying to catch the bad guy, the pervert, the pedophile, the perpetrator. The way Aaron Eckhart tries to interrogate Benicio, it's like, hey, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, you did it, didn't you? He's trying to like, when a police officer will try to fuck with you and say, yeah, you did it, didn't you? You killed this person, didn't you? Right? Because this guy's guilty of other shit. So it ends up being like, so the way he's trying to dry hump him, basically. It's like you could almost hear the soft porn music when Aaron Eckhart is trying to interrogate Benicio del Toro. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Come here. Just give me a hug. Like there's this whole thing going on. Like, what the fuck is going on? And even Jack Nicholson, we're all in on this. Like, we can see that Aaron Eckhart is kind of fucking it up. But they get a confession out of Benicio. They walk away. They put him in cuffs. And then Benicio del Toro shoots himself in the mouth. He dies. He commits suicide right there in the police station. And then, but at some point that Jack Nicholson confronts the parents. So I guess the daughter was on a retreat. Or not on a retreat, but she went off somewhere. I don't know if she went off with on a field trip or wherever. But there was a guy that approached her, and she died. So the parents, the mother, confronted Jack Nicholson after he told her what happened to her child, and had this cross, okay, this kind of a cross that the daughter made, and said, uh, "I want you to promise me that you're going to find the killer. I want you to promise me you're going to do this. You're going to find the killer." And he promised. He put his hand on the cross that the daughter made, this hand woven thing. So the rest of the movie kind of just goes on him trying to figure out what's going on. But at some point, he goes to the school where the daughter is, and the one of her best friends, I guess, is in the fourth grade, third or fourth grade, tells her, "Oh, well, there was a picture that she or the girl drew about who gave her chocolate porcupine candies. And there was a black station wagon and a tall guy with short hair. So that's not Benicio del Toro, because Benicio del Toro is shorter, like 5'7", 5'8", and this guy's over 6 feet tall. So now Jack Nicholson's like, oh shit, you know. So somehow, I'm not sure exactly how, he gets to a town which is kind of in a Montana forest type setting, where he goes to this small village area where supposedly this guy's been hanging around preying on children. And he goes and buys the store that uh, supposedly it's like the biggest store in all the village, so that maybe this guy will show up and he can go a whole. So it's a gas station, convenience store that's kind of run down that Jack Nicholson buys. Uh, and eventually, he meets this beautiful, I forget who, I think it's Robin Wright Penn, Sean Penn. Sean Penn directed this, by the way. And Robin Wright Penn, I guess, so he plays the future wife of Jack Nicholson, of Jerry Black. But Robin Wright Penn has a little girl too, same kind of blonde, same kind of like look and feel as the victim. So they get acquainted. So here he is, Jerry Black, who's a retired cop. He's fishing for a hobby. He lives. He goes from retired to now going to the middle of the forest. First staying at a like a small cabin, and then going to a convenience store to buy the convenience store gas station to look out for this pedo, this predator. And so he goes back and talks to Aaron Eckhart, and then the former chief of the commissioner, whatever, the police commissioner, the current one. And it's typical, yeah, okay, Jerry, you're an old man, you need to relax, stop what you're doing. This is what kind of pisses me off. It's the same stupid, like, we like to believe you, but we don't believe you kind of thing. And it's so stupid. It's sort of the underdog's tragedy of cookie cutter characters. We're sorry, Jor-El. We like to believe the planet's going to explode, but you're crazy. I think you better sleep it off. I think you better walk away from this. You better go now, because your science is bogus. The planet's not going to blow up. It's the same characters that don't believe the main character, right? Because he explains that Benicio del Toro didn't kill the little girl. Somebody else did. Aaron Eckhart was trying to like fuck him in the ass while making him confess that to a murder he didn't commit, and then Benicio del Toro commits suicide. There's somebody else. It's the tall dude with the porcupines in the station wagon. We got to find this black station wagon. We got to find this guy. So nobody believes him, so he's on his own up until near the end of the movie. But in the between, Robin Wright Penn is running from her abusive husband who beats her up, and so he takes her in and the little girl to his house or his cabin, and Robin Wright Penn and Jack Nicholson get it on. A lot of groping, a lot of kissing, a lot of stuff. But it's like all of a sudden now they're together, and then the daughter's his daughter now, and everything's moving so fast. He has this family where he didn't have one before, and everything seems fine up until the point where there's this guy from a church, and he's like this creepy kind of dude that says, "Oh, hey, well, hey, little girl," and it's like, "Uh-huh." So, like at one event, they lose her, the little girl, the little 8 or 9 year old, and then she's on the swings, and Robin Wright Penn's mad, like, "Don't you go anywhere without telling me where you're going?" Like, so there's concern. There's a lot of coincidences that are happening here. Coincidences being the key word for this movie, and keep in mind, this the pledge was 2001. It was like a 20-year-old, 1-year-old movie. Um, and so they go and they get a new swing set, but for in front of the gas station, so the parents, the his mother, her mother, and Jack Nicholson can keep an eye on her so that she doesn't go running off. So what ends up happening is this creepy old guy who represents a church sees her a couple of times, and it bothers Jack Nicholson. So not once does he confront him himself until when he goes to the church, because at one point he asks, where's Jen? Is it Jenny's the one that died? So I forget who the little girl plays, the new one, the second person. But the mom says, oh, well, a couple of people talked to her and she went to church and that's it. So, Jerry immediately got paranoid and grabbed his gun. And we do see a scene where Aaron Eckhart sees the gun in the back, but it's not front and center, so we kind of notice it. But he always carries a gun on his back pocket, on his holster, on the back, right? Like, I don't know if that's Texas style, or maybe that's not Texas style. I think Texas style, you carry it to your sides, right, your hips. But so he's carrying the gun. He's going over to the church where his stepdaughter, his new daughter, supposedly is, and we see these images of blood on the guy, the creepy old guy, and the little girl. So that's just to fuck with us, the audience, right? Because we see a whole church, a whole church, the pews full of people, a service is going on, and so he puts the gun away, and oh, thank you for coming to our service. So we see the little girl's okay, and everything seems fine. Jack Nicholson reads her a story, but here's the thing though. At some point, the little girl brings up the wizard, and that the wizard gave her chocolate candy that looked like porcupines. And he says, "Oh, I can't. It's a secret. I can't tell anyone else." And that he would like to see me again. Now this comes out of left field. The wizard tells the little girl that he can make chocolate porcupines appear out of thin air, like pulling a coin out of somebody's ear, like a magic trick, and that don't tell anybody else, but I want to see you again the next day. Now you know something's up, right? So Jack Nicholson goes, he gets Aaron Eckhart, he gets everybody, all his friends from the force. They try to sting up. This is the final leg of the movie, okay? Because at the beginning of the movie, you see Jack Nicholson talk to himself, like as though he's kind of going off and on. All this time, I thought to myself, we're not seeing a lot of evidence that points beyond circumstance, that points to the fact that, hey, maybe there is a killer or not. But we're seeing evidence that would say maybe it's possible Jack Nicholson is the killer. Because you go back to My Bloody Valentine, the movie where the one person, like even the new one, Jensen Ackles was the perpetrator, and nobody thought about it, but it was the case of that. So I was thinking, is the payoff going to be, because there's got to be a payoff, right? Maybe Jack Nicholson's the killer, maybe not. So what ends up happening is nobody shows up, and everybody starts going home. And they said that's it, they're done. And Jack Nicholson tries to get in closer to the little girl that they have her sitting there drawing and whatever, and everybody's watching her, and they give up. And Aaron Eckhart says, we got to tell the mother. So at some point, the mom comes, Robin Wright Penn comes in. So all this time they've been together, and now, because remember, like the wizard, after Jack Nicholson learns about the wizard, he looks at his future wife and doesn't say anything, doesn't tell her that the little girl is going to be in a sting operation, okay? And so she smacks him around a couple of times, and she told him off, and that's pretty much it, the end of that relationship. Tells the girl to go home, and she is pissed off at Jack Nicholson. And at the end of this movie, we see Aaron Eckhart and the team go back because the sting operation didn't work. we don't see the Robin Wright Penn, the daughter, they're gone. How dare Jack Nicholson, right? Jack Nicholson is talking to himself. He's gone crazy because at some point during the middle of this movie, what made me think that Jack Nicholson was probably the predator was that he was talking to Helen Mirren, who plays the doctor, and he was just talking about his medication and stuff. Like, what the fuck is this? What's going on here? And so the end of the movie starts at the beginning, except when we follow Aaron Eckhart, we see a burned up station wagon and a burned up dude, and we assume it's the predator, it's the pervert, it's the killer, right? The rapist and the killer. But we don't know. We don't know at all. Aaron Eckhart looks at the car burned up. Oh, that sucks. Some guy got burned up. Oh, well, let's go. What the fuck was this movie fucking about? What was this movie about? And I'm like, this is like with Memento. With Memento, you could argue that there was something to that movie there was a payoff, that you kind of figured out the pieces of it. Like you had to watch it over and over again, and you'll still not get a clear picture of left to right because that's not the way that movie works. Even with Broken Flowers with Bill Murray, there was a payoff of some kind in which Homer Murray, his real Bill Murray's son, is at the end of the movie, but is that Don Johnston's son? We don't know, but we know there was a journey, and that was what really was important. This movie had no payoff at all, at all. Zero payoff. Zero payoff. I was just pissed. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie about? Why did this movie exist? And if this movie existed, for what purpose could it serve? So there were a lot of coincidences that happened. There were things that said that Jack Nicholson was right. There were things that said that Jack Nicholson was wrong. There were things that happened that either he was right or wrong, or Aaron Eckhart was right or wrong. But you see the way it went about, and you feel completely bad for Jack Nicholson. But it's like Robin Wright Penn knew he was a cop. The little girl knew he was a cop. Everybody kind of knew he was a cop in the new town who just bought the gas station and goes to the church. So the pervert is not the religious guy, the pastor. Okay, we thought it was the pastor, and it wasn't the pastor. It just was like, what was happening? And Robin had to understand from Jack Nicholson's point of view why he was paranoid, because having been on the force, and it was like, was it DJ Vlad's channel? Eddie Griffin said, cops, the narrative of white cops shooting black dudes or black people getting shot at. So a lot of cops have that shell shock. So maybe it was shell shock. This guy was just ready to point the gun at anything, and he hasn't recovered. And that's understandable. But then there were these other things that were happening. Like, wait a minute. The way Aaron Eckhart confronted Benicio del Toro, the way Benicio del Toro took his own life, the way that the car burned up at the end. It's just like, what was going on in this movie? I have to give it a 4 out of 10. No payoff at all. So I did not enjoy this free-to-watch movie. This one was a 4 out of 10. Now, Ed Wood, which is also free to watch on YouTube, starring Johnny Depp and Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. I'll give this one an 8 to a 9. I'm watching this for the first time ever. In 2022, I've never seen this movie before. Tim Burton made. I'm loving it. I am really loving this movie. So I would give this one 8 or a 9. Depends what happens. I'm 20 minutes from the end of this movie. I'll tell you maybe someday. Oh yeah, by the way, that Sega Atlas that showcase sucked balls.